Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, former President Trump rallies out west while Vice President Harris has her first joint rally with former President Obama. And we hear from officials with Southeast Kentucky Community and Technical College about what they plan to do with funding they were recently awarded.
Temperatures continue to go up and down and a chance of rain. I'll have the details in just a few minutes.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Vice President Kamala Harris is calling out the stars to help her make her final pitches of the 2024 campaign, while former President Donald Trump is relying on his standard tactics. CBS's Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
Vice President Kamala Harris departed one battleground for another, heading to Georgia for a star-studded rally tonight with former President Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen.
The turnout is massive. We know what we're fighting for.
On the campaign trail for Harris this month, Obama has focused on black men, with some party leaders concerned about turnout.
It's not what I see in terms of my rallies, in terms of the interactions I'm having with people in communities and on the ground. What I'm seeing is in equal measure, men and women talking about their concerns about the future of our democracy.
Some voters waiting in line to see the vice president say she still has work to do.
It's real because so many younger people are misinformed.
With just 12 days left in the race for the White House, former President Donald Trump headed west for rallies in Arizona and Nevada, spotlighting his signature issue, immigration.
Immediately upon taking the oath of office, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history.
In Georgia Wednesday night, Trump stepped up his attacks on the vice president and the Biden administration's border policies.
They walk through that open border and probably say, man, are these people stupid? And then they start to kill. They kill.
The Trump campaign is hoping to flip Arizona back to their column after the former president lost the state by fewer than 11,000 votes in 2020. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
In Phoenix, police have arrested a suspect they believe set fire to a post box which damaged 5 ballots. Arizona's Secretary of State says the vandalism undermines the democratic process, and they responded by sending fire suppression equipment to counties across the state. Former President Donald Trump is making crime a key component of his campaign in his effort to win back the White House. Trump says crime is skyrocketing, and if elected, he has a plan to fight it. But the Harris campaign says the data is on their side. Trump says he will make America's streets safer. Campaign surrogate and former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick says cities rely heavily on federal dollars to fight crime, and Trump would invest more money than Harris.
And so when you have a relationship, law enforcement has a relationship with the White House, the Congress, but also the executive branch, because you need that Justice Department. It actually benefits you the most.
Harris campaign surrogate and San Antonio area Sheriff Javier Salazar says Harris will secure the border and provide law enforcement with resources, but will do so in a humane way.
She recognizes that there absolutely has to be rule of law. We have to enforce the laws that are on the books, but there's also a way to be able to do it with compassion and decency for human beings.
As for Trump's claims that crime has skyrocketed under Harris, the nonpartisan Center for Naval Analysis says they are off base. There was a 2020 spike during the pandemic during a period of civil unrest, but levels have dropped from there. Once the dust settles after the election, lawmakers only have 2.5 months to hammer out crucial legislation before a changing of the guard. One of the most important tasks is passing a farm bill. Once Congress passes a farm bill, it has a shelf life of 5 years. The current one expires in December. Gene Thompson owns an apple orchard in Minnesota. He says farmers also have a vested interest in the farm bill's funding for nutrition programs like SNAP.
It's probably between 10 and 20% of our sales at a farmer's market.
Kevin Dahlman from the Minnesota Farm Bureau says crop insurance is another major priority. With Congress returning for a lame duck session in November, there will only be a matter of weeks to hammer out a final version. Former President Donald Trump plans to fire special counsel Jack Smith, who has indicted him on multiple criminal charges, if he wins the election. Today, Trump told a conservative radio host he would use presidential powers to, quote, fire him within 2 seconds if he gets another term in office. Smith was appointed as special counsel to oversee 2 investigations into Trump over allegations of election interference and mishandling of classified documents. With less than 2 weeks to go before Election Day, federal officials want to assure Americans our elections are secure. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, hosted a virtual news conference this morning. Director Jen Easterly says the election infrastructure has never been more secure. She points out U.S. voting machines are not connected to the internet, so they cannot be hacked. Businesses are suffering from election uncertainty, which could hurt the economy. Uncertainty among small business owners has reached an all-time high since the nearly 40-year inception of a monthly survey by the National Federation of Independent Business. And experts say the anxiety about the election has forced businesses into an uncomfortable holding pattern. That pattern ultimately could negatively impact their bottom lines and the U.S. economy as a whole.
Comfortable weather has stuck around for parts of eastern Kentucky. It's honestly been a very beautiful day outside. No clouds at all. Taking a look at our Buffalo Mountain Cam, it's pretty clear out there. You can see the fall foliage in full swing. Absolutely amazing out there, and current temperatures across eastern Kentucky, nothing short of that amazing too, especially if you like those low 70s, high 60s with a light wind. That's exactly what we got out here. Looking at our temperatures tonight, that's where it's going to change a little bit. We are going to get into those high 30s, low 40s across the entirety of our area. Even in parts of Jackson, Booneville, we could see that 39 degrees. Hazard sitting at 44, a little bit warmer than the surrounding areas. But going into the Big Sandy, that's where we started to see a little bit of a change. Sandy Hook is going to be near 34, and then Paintsville, Inez, and West Liberty all sitting in those mid 30s. Now, we've been talking about roller coaster temperatures, and as you can see right here, we're going to go up to 78 tomorrow, maybe even seeing a few 80s, but then we're going to go down on Saturday and Sunday, and then we're going to go right back up, feeling like an amusement ride as we get throughout our temperatures over the next couple of days. Steve?
Drake, thank you. The Environmental Protection Agency has issued stricter rules when it comes to lead paint dust in homes and child care facilities. Any level is considered hazardous now, and the EPA's new requirements issued today, even low levels of lead exposure can be unsafe, and particularly to children. It can hurt brain development and cause long-term health complications. Even though lead is no longer an ingredient in paints, it is still found in older buildings and homes. The cost of Hurricane Helene in North Carolina has reached more than $50 billion in damages. Governor Roy Cooper announced the new estimate at $53 billion. That number is triple the $17 billion in damage done by Hurricane Florence back in 2018. State lawmakers are set to return to Raleigh for a brief session where they are expected to debate another disaster relief bill. Crews at the Cumberland Gap National Historical Park are still working to clean up after Hurricane Helene. So far, park staff, along with the 12-person Sawyer Task Force, have cleared more than 500 trees from about 10 miles of trails. They are focusing on clearing trees to improve access to the park's backcountry and wilderness area. Most of the park's buildings appear undamaged, although the Pinnacle restrooms did sustain substantial damage. Southeast Kentucky Community and Technical College was one of those awarded grants during last week's SOAR Summit. They are planning to use the funding for their CDL program and create a lineman program. WYMT's Austin Hicks has the story.
SKCTC has prided themselves on providing folks in Eastern Kentucky with a quality education and opportunities to learn skills to prepare them for the workforce. Now, with the acquisition of a grant worth more than $1.6 million from the Appalachian Region Commission, SKCTC will now be able to complete a project 8 years in the making.
Lineman in the CDL program, I will tell you, has been kind of an initiative that the college has been trying to get for probably 8 years now. So for us to finally be able to have these two programs starting here at the college is very, very exciting for us.
The CDL program was already at the Knox County SKCTC location, but will be added to the Harlan location. The lineman program came after officials at SKCTC realized there was a need for linemen in the area.
With the needs we determine based on our employers. So we know by looking at regional opportunity as well as national opportunity that CDL and linemen are opportunities for people in our region to really earn that livable wage.
The lineman program will have a state-of-the-art facility that will give students hands-on training with above-ground power poles and below-ground electrical as well. The program will provide the skills for high-demand professions that folks in Eastern Kentucky can take anywhere.
We want to make sure that we are able to prepare people so that they can stay in the region if they want to do that and take care of their families here. But we also really want to give them sort of those transferable skills that they can take with them should they need to leave the region. And again, I think CDL and linemen are perfect examples of that.
The lineman program will be active in 2025, and the Harlan campus CDL program will have its first graduating class at the end of this semester. In Harlan, Austin Hicks, WYMT Mountain News.
SKCTC also received a Department of Labor grant that will be used to bring new certificates to the electrical engineering program. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, figuring out how to pay for your child's college can be a daunting task. Different types of college loans to consider.
And we'll take a look at October so far and the first week of November. I have the details in just a few minutes.